Welcome to the PreSales Podcast. I'm Mattie Stremic, and I'm hosting our brand new series on becoming a world-class solutions consultant. In this 6-part series, we'll unpack real-life stories and get actionable insights from pre-sales leaders, managers, and ICs that know what it means to go above and beyond in their pre-sales and solution roles.
Hi there, my name is Yuji Higashi, co-founder of PreSales Collective, and I have big news to share with you if you're a pre-sales leader or an individual contributor early in your career. We recently launched 2 training and enablement programs aimed at helping you take your career to the next level. Both programs were created by pre-sales leaders with input from dozens of SE veterans across our community. Now, we'll be running cohorts each month, so if you're interested in participating, visit us at presalescollective.com/enablement to submit an inquiry, and we'll send you details about each program, including this curriculum and schedule. We look forward to working with you on growing your career and being part of your career journey. Thank you, and I hope to see you soon.
Hey, PreSales Collective, we're back with part 5 of our Becoming a World-Class Solution Consultant series. Today, I'm here with Ron Whitson, who is the VP of Presales at Stremic, to talk about developing your external network. Welcome to the Presales Podcast, Ron. How are you today?
Mattie, I'm doing fantastic. I'm very excited to be here with you, and I'm loving this series, so I'm ready to help contribute.
Absolutely. So excited about talking about developing your external network. You're definitely an expert on this topic, so really excited to unpack that. But first, would love to do a brief introduction. What's it like being the global VP of Presales at Stremic?
Well, it's a lot of fun is what it is. So we have a team that we refer to as GPS, Global Presales Services. And our mission is to help all the SEs in the field here at Stremic tell better stories and engage with our customers. And then we help out the rest of the organization as well.
How did you end up in pre-sales?
It goes back a long way. It was October of 1998. Some of these people on this call probably were not even born by then. But I had a friend who I'd worked with for quite a bit before, and I had had 10 years in IT before that. And he called me up and he said, "Hey, Ron, there's this thing called a sales engineer. I think you'd be good at it, and I think you'd like it." And so I said, okay. Went to work as an SE at my first company and went through a couple of acquisitions after that. The crazy thing is, in 25 years, there's actually been only 4 jobs because of acquisitions, but ended up at Stremic through an acquisition. Stremic bought Percolate. Percolate was a smallish marketing company doing really good work. I had a small SE team there, and when we were acquired by Stremic, I got to know Brian pretty well, and he was talking about this group he was putting together. He asked me if I wanted to be part of that, and my smart aleck remark was, "Sounds like something I could do, not sure I'd like to." But then after thinking about it a little bit longer, had dinner with him that night, and it was actually really exciting. And one of the cool things that we can talk about a little bit later is the Associate SE program that we've built here that I'm very proud of. So jumped in. That was basically, I think, December of 2019, and the team has grown and we're doing great things. And it's just a lot of fun. I'm very happy to come to work every day.
What an incredible story. I think I saw Stremic in New York Times Square from some images on LinkedIn. I think there was a big poster.
Yeah, we've been getting recognized for a few things, and Doug and the board do a really nice job of steering the company, and we feel like we're in really good shape.
Well, so glad to hear that your team is growing. It sounds like you guys are doing some incredible things over at Stremic, and happy to see the company grow as well. Kind of transitioning into our topic today, which is developing your external network. Why don't we level set and define what do we mean by external network? Could you define that for our audience?
For me, if we're talking about the external network, by definition, it's people outside of your company. Obviously, it's important to build a network within your company to develop opportunities for yourself and be able to be effective. But I think there's a lot to be gained through this external network. And I personally have benefited quite a bit from it, more so than I thought.
I think that that's a great definition for what we mean by external network. So it's not just internally across departments, you're really looking externally to your organization. So why is this so important? Why are we even talking about it today, in your own opinion?
In my own opinion, it's a great sign that the craft of sales engineering has grown up. Back when I started, I knew there were some other sales engineers because they were on the team with me, but I didn't see it as something that every company had. And obviously we thought we were kind of unique in the stories that we were telling. But now to have the pre-sales collective, to have other organizations, professional organizations where SEs can get together and share ideas and thoughts, I think it's amazing. And again, I think it's a really good indicator that this profession has become professional and important and recognized. The external networking piece of it for me is all about sharing that vision and gaining other insights that, I'm not the smartest guy. I don't have everything figured out, but the problems that we see every day in pre-sales are fairly similar. So sometimes it's really great to get someone else's perspective on it.
Yeah, not being alone and collaborating with others that are in the same place as you. I remember when I actually joined the PreSales Collective as a member, I was an early career sales engineer and I got connected with someone that was in the same position as me. And I remember we used to chat and share advice, and we even shared comp information. And I shared my salary with him, and it helped him negotiate his salary at his organization. And it was just one kind of small example of someone that I'd never even talked to on the phone, but where we built a relationship and were able to share knowledge and just chat over Slack.
For me, it's been really interesting. I never thought of myself as the best networker early in my career. And I really think that a lot of people who gravitate towards being an SE have a little bit of an introvert tendency within them. Now, that's kind of weird because our job is to get out in front of people. Well, not get out in front of them anymore. It's just Zoom, right? But used to. We'd be out in front of people who we didn't know, sharing this stuff and kind of taking the stage and telling stories. So I think that's difficult sometimes for introverts, but we figure out a way to do it because it pays well. But the networking piece sometimes is hard because sometimes you just want to climb in the shell and pull the covers over your head and not have anybody bother you. So I think that's the reason why I hadn't really attacked doing this professional network. Yes, I had a LinkedIn page, and yes, I had a couple of things on there, but I really wasn't engaged out there. January 2022, I really made a point to be more intentional about approaching this. And I decided I'm going to develop my point of view on sales engineering, share some of the things that I've learned over 25 years, and just be brave and start posting it. The response was incredible. To be able to find a bunch of other people who appreciated what I was posting and who wanted to engage with me, it was really gratifying. So I'm really happy with what I've done. And again, the benefits have certainly been far more than I anticipated.
Well, I know I've enjoyed your Monday musings and your posts as well as so many others. How did you figure out even what to post, or what was your perspective on finding your voice on LinkedIn and other socials?
In a lot of ways, it's an extension of what I call my Happy Friday email to my team. On Fridays, they typically get an email. It's an update of, what's gone on for the past week and what we're looking forward to. If there's anything that I need them to be aware of, things such as that. Usually I would find some picture from my phone. And a lot of the times lately, it's been a picture of my adorable granddaughters because our granddaughters are the most adorable on the planet. But anyway, I'd put that in there and just write some stuff. And it just seemed to be some communication that was really well received by the team. They seemed to like it. So I was trying to do that same type of a voice with my post. And I kind of took the same approach, really. I looked at my phone and I noticed I'd taken a picture of my garden. I have a large flower garden that I've built behind my pool. It's been a labor of love over 4 or 5 years. And there's a lot of perennial plants that are really getting established now and come back and look really nice. And when it fills out in late spring and summer, it's more like an English garden, and there's butterflies and birds, and it's very peaceful. I like sitting out there and looking at it. But anyway, I had a picture of the garden on my phone, and it prompted me to start thinking about gardening and how you have to take care of the flowers and the plants, and you have to give them what they need. And I thought, well, that's kind of the same thing you have to do with a team. You have to make sure you've got the right people in the right place. You have to make sure you give them what they need, and different people need different things. And it sounds kind of hokey, but it turned into a little post and it got a lot of engagement. People seem to like that little story. So I've tried to maintain that kind of friendly human voice and come up with different stories I think that people can relate to. And I don't force it, but I'll try to put some kind of link in there to pre-sales or leadership or mentoring or something like that. And the response, like I said, has been great.
Well, Ron, your backyard sounds very magical. I'm really jealous. Butterflies and flowers. That's exactly what I would love to have in my backyard. But I appreciate you sharing just how you got started. What started as an email, then ended up a social post. And it's my understanding that you post multiple times a week now.
I do. So a little bit of a behind the scenes here. We have this great tool at Seismic called Live Social, and it allows us to actually schedule our post for the week. So kind of like the Ronco set it and forget it. Oh, that's again, probably a reference that too many people are not old enough to understand. But anyway, Monday, I have time on Monday morning where I sit down and I write my original stuff. And usually it's something I've been thinking about over the course of a weekend. I'll write my original post and set it to be scheduled with our Live Social tool. And then the other thing that Live Social does is it looks at 11 million different publications and it pulls articles for you, and you can set keywords for things that you're interested in. So my keywords are around leadership and pre-sales and mentoring. So it presents me all these great articles. I spend a little bit of time reading those. And when I find articles I think would be helpful to the community, specifically pre-sales and leadership people, I'll schedule that to be posted. So I do my original stuff on Monday. I'll schedule a post for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, something fun on Friday. And I try to get that all wrapped up within an hour or so on Mondays. Then the rest of the week is just seeing how people have engaged and engaging back with people and just doing that. It's worked out really, really well.
That's incredible. I love seeing your posts. And I feel like there's been also an increase in amount of people that are, vocalizing their own experiences around pre-sales, whether they're early career or 30 years in. And I have personally loved just how bite-sized information is being shared on LinkedIn. I think there's so many great articles and even advice that's being shared on LinkedIn. It feels like more now than ever before. But it's my understanding that your approach to your external network is not just posting on LinkedIn, but there's also a lot of conversations that happen as a result of these posts. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So as I started putting myself out there, then people started reaching out to me and they're like, hey, I'd like to hear your stories on this, or I'd like to learn something from you on this. And it got to be something that I needed to figure out a way to manage. So I ran across the Calendly tool, super easy to set up. And so I figured, well, I'll tie it to my work calendar and got a couple of days a week. And so I came up with this link. And so if someone reached out and they wanted to connect, I'd throw them the link. All I asked them was, let me know how you think I could help. A lot of times they just want to hear about sales engineering and pre-sales and what did I do to get in and how do I think about something. It's been pretty special. I think last time I counted, it was more than 90 conversations with just people who wanted to talk about pre-sales. And listen, I'll talk about that all day long. So it's easy.
90 conversations. That is incredible. I don't know how you're fitting that into your very busy schedule, but it's impressive, Ron. It really is.
Well, it's just 25 minutes here and there, but gosh, I'm just an SE, right? So if someone wants to talk to me and they think it'd be helpful, that's actually pretty flattering. So I'm happy to do it. And it hasn't been just people who are wanting to hear stories. It's been other pre-sales leaders and people in other industries. And so the connections have been really beneficial both ways, not just me telling somebody something they didn't know.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, as a leader in pre-sales, how has expanding your network positively impacted you both professionally and personally?
Let me start with a personal story. And I think a lot of people who are part of my network probably know this story because they're probably part of Tamara's network as well. But because of the engagement on LinkedIn, I saw Tamara post something around why musicians make great SEs. And she was doing a little series on that. And she had some nice videos with it. And the one particular post was about empathy. And I think empathy is one of the major superpowers that leaders can develop, whether you're pre-sales or not. Empathy is a really important tool. It's been something that's helped me have some success in my career. I saw her post on that. I'm a musician, so I responded to it. And that sparked a conversation. And this was in probably March, April of last year. At the time, there weren't any openings on my team for associate SEs, but when we had an opening become available, I reached out to Tamara and it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. I think you'd be interested in hearing more about this. And she went through our process and she joined us in July and she's doing a fantastic job. Without the engagement on LinkedIn, I think it's really doubtful that our circles would have ever intersected. And so I would not have had the opportunity to add this tremendous talent to my team. And again, if people don't know the story, Tamara is an ex-opera singer, so maybe not the first person you would think of for becoming a technical seller, but she's killing it. She's doing such a good job. So that's a little personal and professional story. The rest of it, I think, is just, this sounds kind of sappy too, but it's been validation that I know what I'm doing. There are some people who would say that I don't, and that's fine. I think I do. And my boss thinks I do, so that's helpful. But a lot of times in pre-sales, we talk a lot about imposter syndrome. And I've got so many stories where that was something that I had to deal with. But my gosh, when people recognize you as something, what a great way to combat that imposter syndrome and just put that away. So I think that's been a personal benefit to me as well.
Well, I love those examples. And of course, I know Tamara and am so just impressed and happy to hear that she is crushing it at Seismic.
She's actually created a newish role on our team where we've got her directly interfacing with product management and product marketing management for new releases. And she's got her own little talk show. We call it the GPS Product Pulse that she does every other week. And she's introducing these features to the broader SE team and interviewing the PMs and having them share information. And it's been really well received.
So from my understanding, that started out as a comment or message on LinkedIn and now ended up being an employee that works for you and that is crushing it on your associate team. That's great.
It's a great story.
What about from other leaders' perspectives? Why should they go out and develop their external network through LinkedIn and other methods?
One of the things that we're asked to do as leaders is to solve problems. And the problems may be someone doesn't like their comp plan, or the problem may be someone is not getting along with an AE, or any other hundreds of problems that we run into in pre-sales. As much as we may think we're all very special and no one's world is like our own, it's all the same stuff. We're all dealing with the same stuff on a day-to-day basis. The demo environments are not doing what they should. I've got an AE who thinks he's got a really hot opportunity, but it's Mattie snow cone stand and they've got $250 in revenue total and, stuff like that. So I think having the opportunity to share those types of stories and questions with people in another company where you don't have to worry about political stuff. You don't have to worry about what their motives and their objectives are. You can just have an honest, safe conversation. I think that's an amazing way to brainstorm and get some other perspectives.
What does that look like practically? How does one get started with this?
Making yourself available to have those conversations. And maybe it doesn't have to be 90, but making yourself available to have those conversations, finding pre-sales leaders and maybe kind of watching what their content is so you can kind of get a handle on what their POV is and whether there's something that aligns with you or not. Checking out their company. Maybe their company is similar in size to yours. Those can be helpful things. For me, also using this Slack for Pre-Sales Collective and be able to connect with people that way. When we did the Pre-Sales Collective meetup here in Dallas last August, that was fantastic. I got to connect with Jeff Margulies and Sai Ganesa and a few other leaders and plan to do that again here pretty soon. Again, you just have to be open to it and look for those opportunities. And in my experience, those opportunities have come to me through being open and sharing on the platform.
I appreciate the way that you approach all of this, Ron. In the past, whenever I have Slacked you or reached out, you have just always been so receptive, and the way that you post on social is very welcoming. At least that's definitely the way that I feel when I see your posts and see folks interacting with your posts is very welcoming to folks, regardless of where they are in their career too, because you talk to a lot of career transitioners as well.
I sure do. And one of the things I tell them is when these people, especially people who are coming to pre-sales for the first time, the first thing I tell them is, and I believe this, I believe that one of the first things you've got to have if you want to be good at pre-sales is you got to be a friendly human and have a conversation. So I'm really happy to hear you say that my posts make you feel that way, because if I'm saying that, then I need to live it myself. And that's what I try to do.
I want to revisit something you said earlier. You brought up imposter syndrome. And that's something that, we have a lot of conversations. We've done some workshops as part of PreSales Collective on imposter syndrome. And I think this comes up a lot when it comes to maybe posting on LinkedIn or even just raising your voice, whether you're a leader or an IC. How do you go about dealing with imposter syndrome of who am I to share advice or to speak up from the crowd?
Yeah, that's a real thing. I'll give you the answer, though. Then I want to give you my best imposter syndrome story. But the answer to that is, again, if you've got a POV on it, share it. Just be brave and share it. Take a couple of shots of tequila and share it. Do whatever you need to be able to share that, because I guarantee you're going to find someone who agrees with that point of view. It's easy, especially with some of the things we see on social. It's easy to imagine that people are going to make fun of you and abuse the post and all kinds of horrible things. That has not happened at all to me. quite the opposite. I have found a huge community of people who like the stuff I'm posting and agree with it and engage with it. And it's just a wonderful feeling. So you just got to get over that initial hurdle. And if anybody is wanting to do this, again, I'll have a conversation, right? So let me know if you want to run something by me, if that would be helpful. I'll tell you what my thoughts are and just post it. Just get over it and post it. It'll be great.
Just take a shot of tequila and post it.
But it's got to be good tequila, preferably a reposado. But anyway, for my best imposter syndrome story, since I teased that, when I was working for MRO software, we had a tool called Maximo, and there's a lot of people in my network who are ex-Maximo, so shout out to them. But we decided to add a calibration module. Calibration is the process of understanding if an instrument is measuring things properly. And in manufacturing, especially pharmaceutical and some other industries, that's a really critical process. We wanted to build a calibration module. Well, we built it, and it was time to present it. And the people we were presenting it to was a bunch of PhDs at Sandia National Labs. These people know calibration pretty well. And yours truly was the person who was sent to demo the new calibration tool. Now, think about this. Here I am. I'm just an SE. I know this tool. I'm demoing a calibration tool to 30 PhDs who know more about calibration and instrumentation than I will ever know in my lifetime. Yes, I was nervous, but what I had to tell myself is I'm not an expert on calibration. I'm an expert on our calibration module and how it facilitates this process. And I told them that up front, and we did the demo. They did not stand and applaud, but they did applaud, and they were very happy, and they ended up spending some money with us, so that was even better. Even when you're down the road in your career and you've been doing stuff like this for a long time, imposter syndrome can still pop up on you. You just got to be able to recognize that and deal with it.
I think that that's such an incredible point of view of focusing on, you may not be expert on an entire topic, but you are an expert in your area of ownership and with your technology. And I think that's such an important difference to really highlight on because it helps change your mindset. But I love that story. I would have been shaking in my boots. Glad to hear that it ended up in a huge success and a win on your end.
You know, the other thing too is industries are becoming so specialized nowadays. And I think a lot of times SEs do a good job of understanding the industry, but I think we have to give ourselves the grace to understand if you're going in and talking to a financial services company and people have been doing that work for 25 years and you're coming in as an SE who's been doing SE work for 2 or 3 years, you're never going to understand their industry to the level they know. And that's fine. You're not expected to. You're expected to understand your solution and how your solution provides benefits to that industry. And it's a subtle difference to make in your brain and making your thinking, but it can really do a lot to empower you to be a bit more calm when you're doing these big meetings.
That's such great advice. Well, I know we're getting close to the end. So I will ask you to maybe share some of your closing advice for those that want to build and develop their external network. What are your last 2 pieces of advice?
I guess the first one is the old Nike slogan, just do it. If you're going to do it, then just make up your mind, be consistent, try to do it for a month, post at least 2 days a week for a month, and see what happens. And if you don't get the results that you're looking for, then go back to what you're doing and nothing ventured, nothing lost. But I really think you'll be surprised with the results if you just make an intentional effort to broaden your network through that way. And the second thing is look for opportunities to connect with other people outside of your organization. Obviously, networking within your organization is incredibly important. We don't really have any time to talk about that. But I think there are so many benefits, like we've talked on this podcast about that external network and growing that. So maybe get yourself a Calendly, maybe jump on the PreSales Collective Slack, search LinkedIn for sales engineering leadership people and find somebody you like. Maybe find somebody that's close to you that you could get together and do a real in-person lunch or something. You can sit around and you can talk about it all day long, and that's not going to make anything happen. You actually have to put the action to the intention to start getting the benefits from it. And again, I've been floored by the benefits I've received because it's not what I expected.
What great closing advice. I love the simplistic approach of just do it. Get out of your head and just put yourself out there, whether that's on LinkedIn or at an in-person networking event. So Ron, did I hear a challenge that you're challenging people to post twice a week for a month straight?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to throw down on that challenge. I don't think there's any prizes to be won or anything like that, but The challenge is if you consistently post at least twice a week for a month, I guarantee you that you will end up with more followers than you currently have. And I guarantee you that you will make some connections that you did not have before. And who knows, one of those connections could be a new employee on your team, or it could be a new mentor for you down the road.
Amazing. Well, Ron, it was such a joy to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective and your personal experience. I've been amazed to see your journey and, your growth just from afar on LinkedIn and getting to chat with you about it. I think this will be so useful for our audience and for those that don't want to exist on an island, that want to go and develop their external network and grow as professionals, as leaders, and individual contributors. So thank you again for joining me.
It was a blast, and it went way too fast, man. I mean, I thought we had some more time, but all good things must come to an end, I guess.
All right. Thanks again, Ron.
Thank you.
Alrighty, folks, thanks for joining for another episode of the PreSales Podcast. Next up in our series, we'll be breaking down what does it look like to effectively mentor and coach others. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.